Have you ever had a fight over the thermostat in your home? Yeah, we're still doing this bit. When last we left our hero, which is to say, me, I had just confronted my flatmate Craig over the fact that he thought that it was normal to leave the windows open in the kitchen in November in Edinburgh, Scotland. And you know what? Actually, give me just a second. I want to look this up real quick. I'm going to look up what the average temperature in November in Scotland is. 6 degrees. Oh, Celsius. The numbers are too small. Okay, so the average temperature in November in Edinburgh, Scotland is 43 degrees Fahrenheit, which is way too cold to be having the windows open. Last time we talked a little bit about why my flatmate Craig thought that it was normal, but today we're going to talk about why I thought it wasn't. And it has everything to do with air temperature. The first environmental factor of thermal comfort is air temperature. Air temperature, or more specifically, dry bulb temperature, is the mean kinetic energy of local air molecules, which we can measure by using a dry thermometer that's shielded from the sun. Which is to say, it's the temperature of the air. Of all the environmental factors of thermal comfort, I think this is the easiest to understand. We all get that when the temperature is high outside, well then we feel warm. And when the temperature is low, then we feel cold. In our first thermal comfort video, we talked about why this is. Being able to control the temperature of the air is a relatively new technology for humans, and it's one that costs a lot of energy. That's why building performance technicians like me spend so much time thinking about ways to prevent air leaks, say through air leaks in the thermal envelope, or through a wide open window in your kitchen in November. Every cubic foot of air that leaks has a real cost associated with it, both in terms of money and in terms of carbon emissions. So that's air temperature, and like we said, it's pretty straightforward. But have you ever noticed this? Feels like. What does that feels like mean? Why isn't it just the same as the air temperature? Well, it's because air that's the perfect temperature can still make us feel too hot or too cold. How? Well, a few ways, but the simplest is this.
Yes.
I live in the South today, but I grew up in the snow belt. And up in the North, a lot of people don't have AC for the summertime. So if we wanted any relief from the heat, we needed one of these. And with this, we created air movement and speed. Remember our buddy Craig who was leaving open the windows when it was 43 degrees out? Well, as it turns out, probably the frigid winds that was coming in through that window didn't help matters at all. In our first thermal comfort video, I talked about how radiation was our first form of controlling thermal comfort, but air movement is easily the second. In fact, hand fans, our simplest technology for creating air movement, were being created as early as 6,000 years ago in Egypt. And to give you an idea of how crazy a breakthrough this was at the time, hand fans were considered objects of sacred and royal importance. 2 hand fans were found in King Tut's tomb, bedecked with precious stones and gold. And it's not hard to fathom why. Hand fans basically gave human beings the power to summon the wind with a slight wrist motion, a pretty useful thing to have in a climate as brutal as Egypt's. But it's important to understand why fans work, so I want to clear up this common misconception. Air movement does not change air temperature. Wind might make air feel a little bit chillier, but that doesn't change its temperature. It has nothing to do with temperature. Instead, it has everything to do with conduction. It might have occurred to you that the average body temperature for a human being at a normal metabolic rate, i.e. not exercising or under rest, is 98 degrees. Sorry, no, not 98 degrees, 98.6 degrees. But the air temperature that we tend to feel the most comfortable at, all things being equal, is somewhere in the 70s to the 80s. How could this be? The answer is partially that because we generate heat just by living, we need to be able to release some heat to our environment to keep ourselves from overheating. But the other answer is that because air is a gas, its molecules are very, very spread out. Do we still have balloons? Let's get some balloons in here. So air molecules are a bit like this. They're fairly spread out. As I move, I will come into contact with them. And every time I come into contact, I'll lose a little bit of my own heat to the air. But that happens slowly because they're so spread out. But if there was a wind, this is called the wind chill effect. Air movement causes the air molecules to come into contact with our body more rapidly. Each time that it does, we conduct a small bit of heat loss to the molecules. It's still the same temperature, but it feels colder because we're losing so much more energy more rapidly. And by the way, if you've ever wondered why air that's 70 degrees can feel fine, but water that's 70 degrees feels way too cold, this is why. Liquid water is much more dense than air, and as a result, we lose heat to it much more rapidly, making everything feel that much colder. Since fans generate the wind chill effect, they can be a great alternative to turning down the thermostat during the summer. For example, if everybody's just gathered around on the couch to watch the movie or a game, it can be a great way to get the comfort that you want exactly where you want it. That said, I do see some people using fans in a less than helpful way. For example, if you've got super high ceilings with a fan way up on it, I'm sorry, but that's just not going to get you the relief you're looking for. Same thing if you're not actually in the room with the fan when it's running. I know some people like to just keep fans running to get the air circulating and that'll somehow cool things off, but I'm sorry, that's just not true. I even know some folks who like to run the fan backwards during the winter to try to fight convection and try to get hot air to rise up and be where you want it to be, but I'm sorry, running a fan backwards does not fight convection. What? I know, my parents had the button too, the marketing got to us, but it's not doing anything for you. To keep matters simple, you need to be able to feel a fan blowing on you for it to actually give you any comfort. If you can't feel it, then you're just wasting energy by letting it run. However, there are some ways to take advantage of convection for cooling purposes. In fact, we used to specifically build in ways that would make convection work for us. I'm here at the beautiful Bellamy Mansion Museum here in Wilmington today to talk about the Belvedere at the top of the home. This Belvedere was not just there to provide beautiful vistas of downtown Wilmington, it was actually part of a natural ventilation strategy. You see, on hot days, convection would drive all of the hot air from lower in the stories up to the upper levels of the house, making them sweltering and basically unlivable. On days like that, the people who lived here would open up the lower windows in the house and then also open up access to the Belvedere, allowing all of that hot air to continue to rise and escape. This takes advantage of something called the stack effect, which is a phenomenon wherein air that is lower in a building is under more pressure than air that is higher in a building. We'll get into a deeper analysis of how the stack effect works in a different video, but for right now, just understands that air wants to enter a building on the lower levels and exit on the upper levels. This means that there's not just a way to take advantage of the convection cycle, but to combat the convection cycle, allowing not just hot air, but cool air to rise and fill a home. Today, if you're buying a new home, hopefully that home is built tight enough and has an efficient enough HVAC system that you don't need to take advantage of convection in order to do your cooling. What does tight enough mean in this context? Go ahead and watch our first two videos again if you need a refresher or would like to learn more. Links in the doobly-doo. That's all we've got for today, so click here if you want some more ShineTV. Otherwise, click like, subscribe, leave us a comment if you've got an idea for another video, and until we see you again,